All right, cut on the mic. Welcome back to the lab. It's the 1440 show. I'm your host, Blank. We're gonna cut off today. This overtime is gonna start looking better. Look at that. Look at the gun show. Overtime is gonna look better, but got up this morning at 3, and I had a moment of prayer, did a Bible study, and then started studying what it is that I wanted to study this morning, and has to do with branding. After I studied that, I went for a run, which felt really good at about 5. Yeah, close to 5 is when I started running, and was good. Felt real nice outside. A little humid, but because it was so early and the sun wasn't up, it was. And there's a little breeze that came through. It felt pretty good. After that, I contacted my sister, who happened to be awake this morning, which is crazy to me. She couldn't fall asleep, so went over there and picked up a microphone for the camera, as well as the stand for a camera. I'm going to be making a video later on today, hopefully. Going to record it, and possibly in the next I may work on editing it, but I need to formulate and chew on it and try and figure out what it is that I want and what I envision for the video. And I don't know when it's going to be released. It could be a week. It's definitely not going to be a week. The earliest it will be is 2 weeks, and or a week and a half, and we'll see from there. But that pretty much consisted of my morning. But the stuff that I studied this morning is what I want to talk about, right? And the reason I studied what I studied was because there's a guy on YouTube and on Twitter that I follow. Name's Nate Shot, he goes by Nate Shot. Name is Matt Haig. If you don't know who he is, and you're on YouTube or on Twitter or follow the gaming scene, you're probably underneath the box. And he was talking about, now if you don't know, this guy worked at McDonald's when he was younger, and won the first Call of Duty championships and made $100,000. And pretty much from that point on, his YouTube career and Call of Duty career took steps forward. And he's now at a point where he owns his own gaming organization. He has his own apparel, and he's just making really good moves, business moves, things that are really good for himself, right? And so I'm not going to sit back and not take knowledge from him or advice from him simply because we are about the same age. I think he's 25. I think he just turned 25. Maybe. But the point is that we're about the same age, and even if he's this far ahead of me in life, you know what I'm saying, doesn't really matter. So he was talking to a bunch of other pro players because he was a pro Call of Duty player, and there's an issue, and I even see it, like there's an issue with anybody that is in this scene of like making YouTube videos, streaming, or competitive sports as far as gaming is concerned, right? And that problem is that everyone tries to get apparel way too early. You see that you have 500 people watching your videos every day, or 500 people in your stream every day, and you get the money sign in your eyes, right? And don't get me wrong, you could sell some stuff to them, but I think the time put in, the investment, and what you get in return is not going to be valuable enough to sell them anything, if that makes sense. So he was talking about, specifically to pro players, because what they try and do is they start streaming, they try and start making content, and all of a sudden they see, oh, because I'm a pro player, I have this, at least a miniature size following, a couple of thousand people follow me all of a sudden, and then you realize, hey, maybe I can turn this into something. And so they hit like 10, 15, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 people, right? And all of a sudden they're like, hey, guys, we got apparel coming out. On top of that, the apparel's like crap, all right? It's like the generic black shirt, and like someone drew up a little logo, and it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And what he was saying was, guys, like, be patient. Be patient. Don't rush getting apparel out there and trying to sell stuff to your community. I get it. You want to give them something. I bet you a lot of people are asking for it. But the problem is that your brand is not big enough. There's not enough value behind your brand. Focus on your brand. Focus on the quality of your content. And in a year, 2 years, once you hit 500,000, 1 million subscribers maybe, or plus, at that point start thinking about possibly getting apparel, right? And Nadeshot's at like 2.2 million, 2.5 million, somewhere in there. And he just released his own apparel. And it's not even like Nadeshot apparel, it's 100 Thieves. Okay, and so I was thinking, I was like, okay, if he's saying this, he's my age. Clearly he knows more about the business. Either he has a mentor or he just sees everything that I am seeing as well, right? And it got me thinking, like, you know, if that's what he's saying, there has to be more in this branding topic, right? And that's what I pretty much studied for about an hour this morning. And one of the things that I realized is, like, I talk about 1440 and I have a logo for 1440. I'm okay with the logo. It's not what I want entirely. I envision something different, and I just know that right now I'm not at a place where I can go out and get, you know, a high quality sit down and talk with someone for a couple of hours or an hour or two and like discuss what it is that I actually want and what I envision, and have them put out some rough drafts. Like, I just don't have the time or the money at this point in time to do that. So I was, you know, it's something that I'm going to have to use that logo for now. There can always be a rebranding, which is probably something that's going to end up happening as far as the logo is concerned. But I have come up with a saying. I've come up with a sign for 1440 and what it represents. And I'm going to run these past you guys. And if it's something that you think fits or is good, then by all means let me know. All right, so I have it right here on my notebook, which I actually just pulled out today and decided to start writing on. But so like 1440 is, you know, we've talked about it before. 1440 is how many minutes are in a day, and so that hits me right at home. Always has, always will be. I've always been I haven't always been very conscious of time, but I am definitely more conscious and more aware of how important time is right now, and how important it's going to be for the rest of my life, right? That involves, you know, like investing, you know, working out. I mean, time applies, it can apply to literally every aspect of your life. And so you need to be very conscious of it, right? So 1440 encompasses that. And it's a reminder, a daily reminder for me, like, hey, listen, get up. And it doesn't matter if I get up at 3 or if I get up at 12. Like, when you get up, it's time to go to work. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I want to get up at 3 before I get up at 12, but you get my point. Like, when you get up, it's time to go to work. And so that's what 1440 means to me. The sign for 1440 is this. Now, tell me what you think. All right? And you're probably like, wait, what? Why that? That is a clock. All right? That's what 1440 is. And the saying is the time never, like, the clock never stops. So it's going to be 1440, the clock never stops. You know what I'm saying? 1440, the clock never stops. And for me, like I just said, it's like it never, it's a constant reminder of, hey, what can you be doing? And I think that's one of the things that I think that's one of the reasons why I get so frustrated and so stressed out, is because it's like, okay, what can I be doing more? There's always something more that I can be doing, right? Unfortunately, not unfortunately, because that sounds bad. My mind, the way that it works is like, if I'm really into something, I can't get it out of my mind. And I think most people are like that, right? But I'm super, super obsessed with 1440. And I have a wedding that's coming up, and my focus should be on the wedding. But in the back of my head, I have 1440 going on in my head. You know what I'm saying? And so, it's kind of stressful, and I'm trying to figure out how else can I brand 1440, right? Like, other than getting an entirely new logo, I have the saying, I have the sign. Of course, I think this is the best. I for some reason, I love that. Maybe because my name starts with an O, but, you know, I just think that, and the clock never stops, I think it just fits together so incredibly well. You know what I mean? And it's interesting. I also started looking up pop culture stuff, right? Because the target audience for any organization is probably going to range from like 13 to about 25. Obviously, you're going to have some outliers. And maybe in the next 10 or 15 years, it's going to be like 13 to 35 or 40, right? Just because of it's our generation that is picking up on esports and on YouTube and on social media stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so, maybe the target audience at that point is going to change. But as of right now, from what I'm seeing and what I understand, the target audience is from, like I said, 13 to 25. And what I was also sitting down and thinking is like, okay, so how do I attack that, and how do I focus on that, and how do I gravitate you guys to this, right? And I think that's why I'm going to be making this other video. And I don't want to say that I'm going to make videos often. I think depending on how the first video goes and how I feel, it'd be cool to do something once a week. I want it to show the fire and the passion that is in here. And I want the editing to be top notch. And so I'm going to have to take the time to sit down and really, really, really edit, which is something that I haven't done in a very, very long time. I don't even have the same editing software on my computer that I used to use. And so I'm really putting a lot of time into the quality and the story behind the content that you guys are watching. Now, I do realize that the podcast, the video was not high definition. I did not realize that until yesterday after I made yesterday's podcast and went back and watched it. I don't usually go back and watch my videos. I went back and was responding to a comment, and I saw it playing, and I realized that on the setting, I couldn't change it to anything higher than 480p. So I went back through and I looked at my editing software and realized that I had the completely wrong settings, that I didn't look through it to begin with. So that should be completely fixed for now. And, we shouldn't have any problem with the quality being absolute trash anymore. But I think the future of 1440, and probably the future of any company, is going to be reliant on your ability to brand yourself in a way that almost makes people zombies, so to speak, right? Like, the story, I have to figure out a way to make this, what's in here, connect with you. And I think that's what the video I'm going to sit down and do is supposed to do. That's the goal anyways, is to make something that when you sit down and watch, you're like, holy shit. You know what I mean? And I'm not entirely sure who you're going to get as far as I'm concerned, because I was noticing there's two types of me. Okay. The number one is the very goofy, calm one, or not calm one, the goofy, like super positive, laughing out loud type of one. And just like, hey, I feel like I'm a chill guy to be around. And then there's the like serious, like I'm amped up, I'm inspired, I got a fire going, pissed off type of like just I need to get in and go type of me. And so I don't want to ever come off as fake. And so I want you guys to see both sides of that. And I think you're getting a little bit of it right now. And I'm pretty sure you've gotten a little bit of the nicer side when I'm hosting someone else on the podcast. But the underlying thing here is that I want to give this story to you guys in a way that connects, so that altogether the 1440 brand grows and becomes something that I can't even imagine yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did this morning. That's what's going on in my head. Make sure you guys are doing the same thing. If there's something that you're trying to do, something you're trying to build, focus on quality, focus on brand, and let everything else, as you're building that, sort of come into your field of work, and then begin working on those other aspects, all while focusing on your brand and your quality. Cut the fucking mic.